Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. How are you? You are welcome to the class. Today we will practice about transformation of sentences. You know that in your previous classes we have practiced about transformation of sentences. Today is class 4 and you should be ready to practice with me transformation of sentences. Okay, to try to understand the learning outcomes. By the end of the lesson, you will able to understand about assertive and interrogative sentences. Okay. Next, you will able to understand how to change them. You will able to understand how to change them assertive to interrogative or interrogative to assertive. Okay. Next, you will able to change them. You will able to change them. Okay. Let's start the class. Before starting transformation assertive to interrogative, we need to understand about assertive sentence and interrogative sentence. So we'll take the class on assertive sentence to interrogative sentence. That means we will transform assertive sentence to interrogative sentence. Okay. So you should practice with me and you should continue with me to the class. Okay. So before changing the sentence, you need to understand about assertive sentence. What is assertive sentence? Why should we call them assertive sentence? কেন আমরা তাকে assertive sentence বলি? So আমরা জানি assertive sentence মানে সাধারণ বর্ণনা। সাধারণভাবে কোনো কিছু বর্ণনা বা বিবৃতিটাকে কি বলা হয়? assertive sentence বলা হয়। But assertive sentence has a structure. So you should follow them. Okay? So what's the structure? Subject plus verb extension. Subject plus verb plus extension. So assertive sentence is started with subject. Assertive sentence is started with subject. For example, Rana goes to school. Rana goes to school. The sentence starts with subject. It starts with subject and after subject there is verbs. After subject there is verbs, principal verb. Okay, so this is assertive sentence. How will you understand interrogative sentence? You need to understand interrogative sentence. So what is interrogative sentence? Interrogative sentence always ask questions. Questioning sentence is called interrogative sentence. So interrogative sentence has two structure. Number one, started with auxiliary verb. Started with auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verb is used according to the tense of the sentence. According to the tense of the sentence, the auxiliary verb should be used. Then you should use subject and then principal verb and extension. At last, you must use note of interrogation. You should use note of interrogation. Next, follow the example. Doesn't Rana go to school? Doesn't Rana go to school? Doesn't auxiliary verb. It's present in new tense, so you should use auxiliary verb do not, do or does. Do or does. If the subject third person singular, you should use does. Otherwise, you should use do. If the assertive sentence is affirmative form, in affirmative form you should transform the assertive sentence into interrogative form in negative interrogative form. Okay, that's why I use not here, doesn't. Understand? So next, structure 2, interrogative sentence is started with WH word. What are the WH word? Suppose who is, what, when, where. These are called WH word or interrogative pronoun. WH word or interrogative pronoun. At first, WH word should be used in second structure. Okay. Then you should use auxiliary verb, then subject, principal verb, or extension, or you may use the second this structure WH word, verb, extension. If there is if the WH word refers to the subject, that time subject should not be used here. Okay. So Here's an example. Where does Rana go? Where does Rana go? In previous example, we have seen that Rana goes to school. Rana goes to school. So that means where does Rana go? If you ask who goes to school? Who goes to school? Rana goes to school. So the pronoun refers to subject Rana. That's why subject is not used here. But in this example, where does Rana go? That means where refers to the place. Here where is used to refer the place, to ask about the place. Okay, so that's why subject is used here. And if you use subject, that time you should use auxiliary verb before the subject. You should use auxiliary verb before the subject. Understand? Okay, my dear students, now we'll practice how to change assertive sentence to interrogative sentence. So let's practice. At first, we need to give example. Number 1. Mita reads a book. Mita reads a book. So what the sentence? The sentence is started with subject. So it's an assertive sentence. A sentence is started with subject, and at the end full stop is used. It should be assertive sentence. It should be assertive sentence. So you need to change them. Assertive to interrogative. Assertive to interrogative. So what should be the answer? You should follow the tense of this sentence. So it's an subject plus the present form of verbs. So it's an example of present infinite tense. What's the tense of this sentence? What's the tense of this sentence? It should be in indefinite tense, present indefinite tense. Okay, because subject plus the present form of the verbs. So if you want to change it if you want to change the sentence into interrogative form, at first you should use auxiliary verb. So what's the auxiliary verb in present indefinite tense? Which auxiliary verb is used are used in present indefinite tense? Do and does. Do and does. So subjective first person singular, you should use does. You should use does. If the sentence is in affirmative form, you should use negative form in interrogative. So doesn't. That time you should use the subject. Doesn't Mita. And then you should use the main form of the verbs. Read a book. And use note of interrogation. Understand? It has been changed. So before changing, you should try to understand the sentence, and then you should use auxiliary verb at the beginning of the interrogative sentence. At the beginning of the interrogative sentence, you should use auxiliary verb according to the tense. According to the tense. Okay. Now more example. Number 2. He went to Dhaka. He went to Dhaka. It's an assertive sentence because the sentence is started with subject. So how will you change the sentence? You should use auxiliary verb. You should use auxiliary verb of the sentence according to the tense. So what's the tense here? Subject plus past form of this verb, past form of the main verb. So the sentence is in past infinite tense. Is in past infinite tense. So what should be the auxiliary of past infinite tense? You know that did is auxiliary verb of past infinite tense. So you should use did. You should use did. And the sentence is in affirmative form. So you should use negative form. Okay. Didn't he go? You should use the base form or present form of the main verb. You should use the base form. You should use the base form. Someone say verb 1. Okay. Didn't he go? And you should use the rest of the sentence extension to Dhaka. And then you should use note of exclamation. In this way, you should try to practice to transform assertive sentence into interrogative sentence. In this way, okay? So we may give more example. We may give more examples. Number 3. She is running in the field. She is running in the field. So how will you change it into interrogative? Here is auxiliary verb. You should use the auxiliary verb at first. The sentence is affirmative. You should use negative form. Isn't? Subject. She running. Sorry. G is missing here. Okay. You should use running in the field. Sorry, you should use note of interrogation. Understand? So the sentence has been changed into interrogative form. Okay. So you should use auxiliary verb according to the tense, and then if the sentence is affirmative, you should use negative form, and if the sentence is in negative form, you should use affirmative form. Okay. Then you should use subject and the main verb, and extension. Okay. So more example. Number 4. He has not come here. He has not come here. So what would be the interrogative form? The auxiliary has. You should use has before the subject. Has. The sentence is in negative form, so you should not use negative form. It should be affirmative form in interrogative. So you should use the subject and the main verb, come, and the extension. And in this way, you should change them. Understand? You should change them. The sentence is changed in according to the first structure. Now, if there is every in assertive sentence, what will you do then? Number 5. Everyone loves flowers. সবাই ফুল পছন্দ করে. So subject is everyone. If there is subject everyone or every or somebody, nobody, etc., you should use who instead of every. Instead of every, you should use who. And if the sentence is in affirmative form, you should use negative form before, and you should use the auxiliary verb of the sentence according to the tense. What should be the auxiliary verb here? Does, because the subject is everyone, it's third person singular, that's why s or yes is used with the verb. Okay, so you should use, instead of everyone, you should use who, and then you should use auxiliary verb. Who does? Why should you use auxiliary verb? Because it should be changed into negative form. Who does not? Who does not? The main verb and the rest of the sentence. Flower. So you should use who instead of every. Understand? So everyone loves flower. Who does not love flower? Understand? In this way, you should able to sense them. Okay. Now we'll practice interrogative sentence to assertive sentence. So like assertive to interrogative, you should use them. Doesn't he play football? The sentence is in interrogative sentence. It's a interrogative sentence. So if you want to change it into assertive sentence, that time you should use subject at the beginning. He. So does is here. So what's the tense? The sentence is in present indefinite tense. So you should not use negative form in assertive sentence, because the interrogative sentence is in negative form. You should use affirmative form in assertive sentence. So what should be the structure of assertive sentence of present indefinite tense? Subject plus the base form of the main verb or principal verb. So which one is principal verb? This is principal verb. You should use play. So the subject is third person singular. That time you should use s or yes. You should omit auxiliary verb. Okay. He plays the extension. You should use the verb. Now you should use the extension football or object. So in this way, you should able to sense them. Understand? So my dear students, thank you very much to continue the class with me. I hope that you will watch the next class and learn many things from this class. Okay? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.